Maria Otero, the U.S. State Department Undersecretary for Democracy and Global Affairs, was in Brussels on November 3. One of her most interesting meetings was with 25 European leaders from the Young Transatlantic Network. During an animated discussion, she reassured her listeners that, under the Obama administration, the U.S. is re-engaging with Europe and the rest of the world.
When we think about diplomacy, we think about initially the diplomatic relationship, we think about economics, we think maybe about trade. But there are many ways in which we can engage with other countries, one of which is addressing democracy as an issue that frames certainly the way that we do work, and within democracy is writ large human rights, which really emerge from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the freedoms that they put forth. Another issue that we have elevated, and Secretary Clinton has given several speeches on, as a way of addressing the concept of freedom of expression, has been internet freedom. So this issue of internet freedom and the cybersecurity issues related and the regulations or the guidelines that are needed to operate it is, again, something that will completely affect the way that you're able to work and the way in which your generation worldwide will be able to participate in their societies.
The well-informed group had many questions, which range from water scarcity and democracy promotion to youth engagement in policymaking.
You will face the issue of water in your generation. We're trying to work in 4 key areas in water. The first one is access to water and sanitation, what's usually called WASH. Water, sanitation, and hygiene. And there, it's everything from digging wells to building latrines to figuring out a way in which you can use purifying capsules to clean water, engaging the private sector so they can come in and make use of their technology, of new innovations, and really make an effort to move that forward. This is development, the Millennium Development Goals. And AID does that mostly, but we work with them. The second way that we're trying to help work with countries is in the area of making the use of water be more productive. Around the world, countries use maybe 70 to 75% of all their fresh water for agriculture, to be more efficient in the use of the water. It's huge and it's very difficult to do. The productivity of water is a whole nother area that needs a great deal of work. Having water be more productive means that you also start researching, especially in agriculture, where you look at how you can come up with better seeds. You can also make sure that in certain countries you are not growing crops that require a lot of water. And finally, water and what I call national security, or water insecurity, which is working with governments so that they can resolve their issues with each other in a consensus and in an agreed upon word. There are about 260 rivers around the world that are shared by different countries. And those rivers have countries that are upstream and countries that are downstream. So in this area of potential conflicts is, again, one of the areas that we're working in.
Before closing the session, the young leaders asked about her career path and professional philosophy, and what advice she would give them for the future.
Youth such as yourselves need to be able to have the possibility to acquire the skills to be the leaders of the next generation and to play a leadership role in your own societies. You're all European or from the US. The same thing is true for African youth, for Latin American youth, for Asian youth. So how do we help the youth in those continents and those regions that can play leading roles in their countries be able to connect with each other, be able to improve their own leadership capacity, and be able to be engaged in policy making already. A real sense of personal values that you want to have played out in your career, regardless of where you are or what you do. These, I think, are, they can be the most important guidepost. The second one is that open yourself up to learn from everyone. I think the other one is, I just think you have to work hard. You just have to work hard. I am amazed when I see all of you and I think about the enormous amount of energy that you're putting into your work. You have to continue that, and you have to be able, through that process, to really put the work before yourself. In my case, one of my values, and this is a very personal thing, is to put myself in situations where I really was contributing to improving the world in one way or another. And because I came from Bolivia, it had a lot to do with working with developing world. I think if you make some determinations along those lines, it's very important. And then just be fearless, just keep pushing, just keep pushing.
The lunch gave the European participants a unique opportunity to interact with a high-level US policymaker, who, in their words, they found interesting and inspiring.